approach being taken to tackle COVID-19 and injunction granted by the High Court judge preventing GECOM from conducting national recount. It's Tuesday, March 17. We have lots to tell you. Thanks for joining us. It will take a collective approach to combat the coronavirus or COVID-19. Prime Minister the Honorable Moses Nagamootoo, who heads the ministerial task force set up to oversee Guyana's response to the virus, says the government, opposition and civil society have been included in the plan for a national response. Here's our first report.
Prime Minister Nagamootoo says preparation to deal with the coronavirus, COVID-19, began since January this year and has since moved from preparation to response. He said government will be including both the opposition and civil society in the overall plan.
It is my intention to shortly invite the leader of the opposition and the leadership of civil society to take part in the work of the National Task Force. I ask them all to join me today as I urge our nation to remain calm but alert and to follow all public health and other advisories.
PM Nagamootoo says the matter at hand is not exclusively a governmental task.
All of us, all of our regions, if the entire nation are in it together.
In the meantime, with regards to the social impact of the coronavirus, PM Nagamootoo noted that government is consulting with the respective agencies to ensure persons are not impacted negatively.
By the circumstances of social distancing, that they can't report for work and they're advised to work from home. So we are consulting with ministers, and the Minister of Finance is also involved in this at the moment, to see what relief package would be considered.
The private sector, the Prime Minister noted, would need to be guided, as there are certain practices in these situations that they would have to observe, which is to take care of their employees. Felicia Valenzuela, InfoHub.
The government is taking all the necessary measures to strengthen the level of preparedness and response to the novel coronavirus threat by adopting a collective, coordinated and comprehensive approach, engaging all stakeholders. A ministerial task force briefed the media at the NCN studios on Homestretch Avenue about the measures and appropriate approach taken by the government in response to the health and economic risks of the COVID-19. Public Health Minister Boulder Lawrence explained that the National Public Health Reference Laboratory that has the capacity to test for the disease, and the ministry has set up several quarantine areas.
We have also been able to now establish 4 sites where we can be able to address the needs of persons who must be quarantined. And I speak of persons who fall within the 3 categories. Those persons who are suspected cases, which means that they would have been exposed in one way or the other to a person or persons who have contracted the virus. Those probable cases, and those are persons who would have had a test done, but it came back inconclusive, and persons who are confirmed cases.
In terms of education, the Education Ministry has responded with the closure of all schools. In addition to the sanitation of training and learning facilities, the ministry is taking the necessary steps for students writing both the NGSA and CSEC examinations.
We have also embarked in discussions with CXC to have the rescheduling of dates for both national and regional examinations. That would be the grade 6 and the CSEC examinations.
Parents are advised to work with children in preparation for the exams through the ministry's website, the Guyana Learning Channel, radio broadcasts of the interactive radio instruction for grades 1 to 3, and NCN Radio. The University of Guyana has also put in place a 2-week closure in effect until March 30, 2020. Police Commissioner Leslie James says that since the outbreak of the virus, the force has been planning for any eventuality and systems are in place at all ports of entry. Safety measures are also being implemented at the level of the aviation sector. Director General Lieutenant Colonel Retired Egbert Field gave that update.
We are on both fronts at the airport, the Cheddi Jagan International Airport and the Ogle International Airport. The authority has been conducting inspections ensuring that the necessary pieces of equipment such as temperature sensors, etc., and working closely with the Center of Disaster Control and also the Ministry of Health.
Lending support to all of these agencies is the Civil Defense Commission. The agency's Director General, Lieutenant Colonel Kester Craig, gave some details.
So to date, we have completed a detailed assessment of the process and procedures at the Chedijagan International Airport, and we've prepared a report where we submitted to the Minister of Health and several of the other agencies, including the Guyana Civil Aviation Authority, Immigration, Customs, to start taking certain measures or improvement measures that are already implemented at the airport. Apart from that too, we've assessed all of the facilities identified for isolation and quarantine and came up with recommendations, and those reports are also submitted to the Minister of Health.
Other agencies that have since implemented measures include the Supreme Court. The court began fumigation and sanitization of the facilities on March 13. The Ghana Revenue Authority has also made it possible for taxpayers to utilize e-filing services and payment relationships with financial institutions. The Public Infrastructure Ministry has suspended ferry services between Ghana and Suriname from March 14 until further notice. The Department of Citizenship is engaging persons accessing services in smaller groups. The National Sports Commission has closed the Cliff Anderson Sports Hall, the National Gymnasium, the National Aquatic Center, Colgreen Pool, and the National Racket Sports Resource Center for at least 2 weeks. The Protected Areas Commission, or PAC, has closed the Georgetown Zoo until further notice. Meanwhile, the Department of Public Service has implemented a shift system for all public servants from March 16 to the 27th, 2020. Let's tell you now that High Court Judge Franklin Holder this afternoon granted an injunction against the Ghana Elections Commission, preventing it from carrying out a national recount of the votes from the March 2, 2020 polls. This comes pending a hearing on Friday, March 20, 2020.
GECOM had indicated its readiness to have the recount commenced at 5 p.m. on Tuesday after President David Granger and opposition leader Bharata Jagdeo signed an aid memoir committing to the process. On Saturday, President Granger sought the assistance of CARICOM for it to overlook the recounting of ballots in all 10 administrative regions. He believed that a move by the independent unit would put all doubts to rest about the validity of the results. CARICOM on Sunday dispatched a 5-member high-level team to supervise the process, which was expected to commence the following day. However, an application to the High Court filed by private citizen Yulita Grace Moore on Tuesday sought an interim injunction against GECOM and its officers from setting aside or varying the declaration of the returning officer of the 10 electoral districts and from substituting or replacing that declaration with any other documents or declarations until the hearing and determination of the judicial review. An interim injunction was also sought restraining GECOM from permitting any person to any agreement between the President of Ghana and the Leader of the Opposition and or between the Guyana Elections Commission and CARICOM to count or recount any ballots from the March 2 polls until the hearing of the judicial review application. GECOM's attorney, Excellence Dazelle, had advised the chairman of the commission that the president and leader of the opposition, though their intentions were honorable, could not enter into an agreement that runs counter to the law which governs the Representation of the People's Act. She also advised against a total recount of all regions. For InfoHub, Alexis Rodney.
Today, various government officials gathered at the National Cultural Center to discuss their preventative and emergency plans to combat COVID-19. Leading the discussion were officials of the Ministry of Public Health and Communities.
This saw the involvement of mayors, regional health officers, regional executive officers, among others. In brief remarks, Permanent Secretary of the Public Health Ministry, Colette Adams, told the gathering that this sectorial approach is simply to ensure the proper delivery of healthcare services to all in light of COVID-19.
It is true that the more knowledgeable you are about a particular matter, you're more likely to be informed and take that decisions that you ought to, and to help to protect all of our people in your communities, in your homes, and your loved ones.
She stressed that the ministry is working assiduously with local and international bodies to properly handle COVID-19. Adams also urged officials to provide health precautions and refrain from posting possible inaccurate information on social media.
It is imperative that we as policymakers, healthcare practitioners, donors, and media personnel, and concerned citizens assume a responsibility and a role to actively prevent and protect all.
Responding to the proposal of completely closing all the country's borders, P.S. Adams said the matter would have to be discussed among the ministries of public health, infrastructure, and communities. Coronavirus disease, or COVID-19, was discovered in 2019 in Wuhan, China, and has since infected thousands around the globe. For InfoHub, I am Kelon Rover.
When the news returns, Cheddi Jagan and Eugene F. Correa International Airports both to be closed to international flights from Wednesday at midnight. Details after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back. In the case concerning the arbitral award of October 1899, Guyana versus Venezuela, the International Court of Justice has informed Guyana that the oral proceedings scheduled to begin on March 23, 2020 have been postponed. This is due to the current worldwide health crisis. The court has further informed that it will give a decision on a new date in due time. The Cheddi Jagan International Airport at Temeri and the Eugene F. Correa International Airport at Ogle will be closed to international flights from Wednesday at midnight.
The Civil Aviation Authority, in order to slow the process of this virus and in consultation with the Ministry of Health, has decided to, with the approval of the Cabinet Task Force, to close their airports to all international flights. This will come into effect from midnight on Wednesday, the 18th, and we hope that this would only last for 2 weeks or 14 days.
Director General of the Guyana Civil Aviation Authority, Lieutenant Colonel Retired Egbert Field. He said the decision to close the country's main airports to international flights will not affect outgoing flights. Domestic flights will not be affected either.
Cargo flights, medevac flights, or technical stops. These are aircraft which would require fuel and would make a technical stop to proceed onward to another destination.
Mr. Field said provisions have also been made for any special authorized flight. In the meantime, public officers from Immigration and Customs have been guided and outfitted with the necessary gear for interaction with incoming passengers. Minister of Public Health, the Honourable Vola Lawrence, also reported that all port health facilities have strengthened their capacities.
We continue to beef up our port health or our points of entry with our port health officers, and to work with the Ministry of Communities to provide some additional staff who will focus on the administrative efforts of collecting data from the persons who would have been screened and their temperature would have indicated that they're above the range set by WHO.
Felicia Valenzuela, InfoHub.
Are you washing your hands correctly? Here are some tips on when and how to wash your hands. Step 1. Wet your hands with clean water. Step 2. Then apply soap. Step 3. For 10 to 15 seconds, lather your palms together. Always remember to pay attention to your fingers, especially your nails and tips. And don't forget the back and between your fingers. Step 4. Rinse hands with clean water for about 20 seconds. Step 5. Dry hands with a clean paper towel or tissue.
But when should you wash your hands? After using the toilet, before and after eating, preparing or handling uncooked food, after playing with pets or caring for animals, after sneezing and coughing or blowing your nose, before and after changing babies or caring for others.
Frequent hand washing or using a hand sanitizer with alcohol as an alternative will remove viruses and bacteria from your hands.
A message from the Ministry of Public Health in collaboration with PAHO WHO.
The management of the Ghana-Suriname Ferry Service is advising the public that the MV Sandaka will be departing Molson Creek tomorrow, March 18, 2020 at 9 a.m. Check-in starts at 6:30 a.m. and ends at 8 a.m. The service will only be facilitated to Surinamese nationals or holders of Surinamese passports. Guyanese desirous of returning home are being asked to check in at the South Drain Suriname terminal between 6:30 a.m. to 8 a.m. Suriname time. Port health officials will be present to screen arriving passengers. Guyanese are especially asked to take advantage of this opportunity. The Ghana Ferry Service apologizes for any inconvenience caused. Those requiring further information are asked to contact 339-2744. That's all for today. Connect with us on our social media platforms, including WhatsApp, Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. Much more news is on our website at dpi.gov.gy. Your bridge and weather reports are up next. Goodbye for now.